We have some brand new updates tying this Miami Heat organization to star point guard Ja Morant. I'm here to break down the new odds on where Ja will land next, as well as some major quotes tying him to Miami. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest. But first, before we get to the news and information, please do remember to scroll down and click the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on everything Miami Heat, as nearly 80% of you guys watching this video are not currently subscribed. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys. But now let's get to it and break down if Ja Morant is really going to be an option for this Miami Heat organization, specifically this offseason. Now, I have a theory that next offseason we could see substantial moves towards key players, but possibly even Ja Morant specifically. And again, that is a different conversation for a different day because we are talking about an entirely a full year away, as we are currently in a major development with this current offseason and this Miami Heat organization with Ja Morant. So let's start there. And this tweet from NBA Central, where they cite Vince Goodwill, who went on to say and noticed that, or put out a notice that Ja Morant and the Miami Heat could be in some connections here with this quote. Don't think I'm breaking any news here, but in the middle of the whole Jimmy Butler saga last year, one name that multiple league sources brought up to me was, hey, you might want to check on Ja Morant in Miami. And I didn't understand the iteration of it. I was like, this is going to be a really complicated trade. A, because of Jimmy's extension. B, because of Ja's long money. And there were iterations of Ja and Desmond Bane being shipped out, which sounds like it could be true, considering Desmond Bane was just traded yesterday. And that is the end of the quote from Vince, and he did go on to elaborate, and there is an actual link to the podcast that he was speaking on. That will be in the description if you want to listen to the entirety of it, as well as a link to this tweet. So again, that's down in the description if you want to check it out. But the biggest takeaways. Last season, during the Jimmy Butler saga and all that took place, was there really a chance that Jimmy was going to end up in Memphis for Ja Morant? Well, in the very, very, very early stages, if you guys don't remember, Jimmy Butler and his agent told basically everyone that if your name is not the Phoenix Suns and you aren't trying to get Jimmy Butler to Phoenix to play alongside Kevin Durant, there is no reason to even call the Miami Heat. There's no reason to even consider the idea of trying to trade for Jimmy Butler, because it's not going to work. He's going to end up getting there. His actions will resemble ones of which that are taking place in Miami, where he wasn't playing in games. He was just a total distraction to the entirety of the team, inside and out of the locker room, behind closed doors or not. It didn't matter. There was just problem after problem after problem, and it just totally just knocked over the Miami Heat in their season. But now, what was there an actual chance that was going to happen? Well, it seemed like there was. It seemed like the Memphis Grizzlies were very much engaged in the idea that they could possibly use Jimmy Butler, and that Jimmy Butler would be a useful piece to the Memphis Grizzlies puzzle. Now, whether or not that involved keeping Ja Morant, I'm not quite sure. I would assume it would, to put Ja next to Jaren Jackson and Jimmy Butler to really give themselves a good chance to go out there and make a substantial push in a tough conference, as well as the league as a whole. That obviously did not happen because of Jimmy Butler and his agency shutting down all trades with anyone that wasn't Phoenix. And then later, towards the deadline, that's where we saw the Phoenix conversations happen, and Kevin Durant possibilities initially spark. And then Golden State conversations happened. And a few other teams were respected in those conversations, but a lot of them were involved in multiple team trades, where it wouldn't just be, hey, Memphis, do you want to make this trade with Miami? It was like, hey, Phoenix is on the phone here, Jimmy, as well as this. We need more moving parts. Memphis, do you want to be involved in this? And obviously, we saw how it played out with a bunch of moving parts, and with Jimmy Butler and Andrew Wiggins and all these different pieces going every which direction. And Jimmy ended up not getting what he wanted. He is not in Phoenix. He never ended up in Phoenix, and he went to Golden State, where they made the playoffs, and he got to play against, or play with, the greatest shooter to ever touch a basketball in Steph Curry. But again, to the odds that we now have. Again, NBA Central, once again, providing these, and the Miami Heat find themselves in fourth place, I believe, behind teams like the Sacramento Kings and obviously the Toronto Raptors at plus 800. Now, this is posted on at Bovada Official. NBA Central has then reposted it in their own format on their Twitter. And we see this all the time with big name players and odds coming out. We've discussed this a lot in the recent past over the last few days with Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, as well as now Ja Morant. A lot of big name players seem to be available in one way or another this offseason, and the Miami Heat continue to be involved in these conversations. It just comes down to whether or not they actually go out there to move the assets in order to obtain these other assets. And I'm going to say that I think there's a good chance the Miami Heat are in the works with Durant as well as Westbrook. Whether or not they actually get done is to be determined. But I would definitely be betting on those two guys, again, in Russell Westbrook as well as Kevin Durant, to be picked up or at least engaged with by this Miami Heat organization before Ja Morant. And the reason I say that is because Ja Morant, not only one, has been getting into a lot of trouble through the early stages of his NBA career, which is a lot shorter than he gets credit for because he is such a stud of a player, winning the Rookie of the Year as his first year in the league, and then just constantly after that being a dominant force, someone that is must-watch television when he is healthy and on the floor. But when he is on the floor, he tends to celebrate and he gets in a little bit of trouble. And I don't know. I don't know if he would fit best in Miami. South Beach can be very lucrative. It can be very manipulative. If you put that young man down in South Beach with the history that he has had up to this point in the sense of getting in trouble, I just don't know if it's the greatest mix, and I don't know if that equation would end up working out for him. But listen, Ja Morant in Miami, basketball-wise, if you could promise me he wasn't going to get in trouble and he was going to just simply play the game of basketball and have a normal life outside of that, I sign me up. But again, it's going to come at a substantial cost. He's young. He's very damn good at the game of basketball. And also, he's already getting paid. So you have to take on a 5-year, $197 million contract, which he would then have 2 years remaining before becoming an unrestricted free agent. So you'd be paying him $42 million next year and $44 million the following year after that before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So, and you would also have to trade for him because obviously he's still under contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. I doubt they are just going to give him away for just a few assets and a draft pick. I think you would have to move mountains in order to go get this guy because of how good he is. Now, whether or not they extend him before he hits the free agency, I couldn't say that, but they may be looking to shop him and reset their franchise. But again, that is not at a discounted price. That is going to be a hefty price, to say the least, with a lot of draft picks as well as ready-to-play players now for someone in Ja Morant who is so substantially important to them. But back to the original idea I opened this video with. If it doesn't happen now, I think it happens next year. And the reason I say that is because this is the current Miami Heat. This is every Miami Heat contract of everyone currently on the roster. And it shows you what years they are taking care of through the next 5 to 6 seasons. Next year, there are a lot of contracts. Next year, there's a lot of contracts. The year following, in 2026, 2027, there are 4 players being taken care of. 3 of them are on team options. There's basically three guys under contract, and one of them is Andrew Wiggins, who has been in conversations to be in this Kevin Durant trade package, so he might not even still be on this roster. The Miami Heat are going to have $30+ million of cap room and not a whole lot of player assets, but again, draft compensation will be at least at an average when this time comes. Look for them, if Ja Morant remains in Memphis for the next year, to make a big splash because the money will not be hard to take on and they will be able to build a good team around him with Tyler Hero as well as Bam Adebayo being the substantial pieces available to this Heat organization because, again, they're literally the only ones left on contract in that year. Now, we'll see how everything plays out. There's a lot of different options. Let me know down below, who do you think, or who is your favorite option that we've mentioned over the last few videos? Durant, Westbrook, Ja Morant are the last three that we've discussed. Obviously, we've talked about Zion Williamson in the past as well, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis conversations have really died down. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. A lot of moving parts, and I just can't wait to see how Miami ends up playing it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.